Welcome once again to Dramatic Readings with Jamie. I am your ever humble host, Jamie. Today we shall continue our look into one Adriana Paolo Palermo. Today we shall be reading his headcanons for what happens to the character after he graduates from Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Had to think for a moment there. Let us begin, and what I can only tell will be a thrilling adventure. By the time his 7th year is over, Adrian will have turned himself utterly against Voldemort. By the time the tensions have truly reached war, his mind will be left without an option. The respect that his father holds, as well as some other muggles, means that he can't remain neutral. However, Adrian's charm and ambiguity allow him to keep his opinions mostly shielded from his housemates. Retaining a few old house contacts in years to come would prove a good decision. By the time he graduates, the Order is really the only course of action for Adrian. Most importantly, it comes at a turning point that forces his maturity to surface. Upon leaving school, and therefore being available professionally, Adrian is offered a contract by no more than no less than 10 Quidditch teams from around Europe. Both the Quirin Quaffle Punchers and Kenmare Kestrels offered him a starting spot as well, but Adrian eventually decides to postpone his Quidditch career for the war. Little do those teams know that he smokes marijuana before every practice. Bit fuzzy here, depending on a final / etc., but he fights the Death Eaters for over 2 years, probably falling in love, in tasting battle, experiencing true war, and actually killing a Death Eater and fellow former Slytherin, of course, named Wilkes. After having actually slain a Death Eater, it haunts Adrian, even though he knows in some ways that there was no choice. Still, less than a month later, his father is killed in Paris, presumably retaliation. I'd like to interject here, and probably say that the death was caused by none other than Remy Bodine. Needless to say, it ruins him. The elder Palermo was an inspiration, a legend in his own right. All his family, thousands of fans, and women of all ages turn up for the gentleman's funeral, held along the banks of the Seine. While in mourning, he wanders the streets and magical underground in the City of Light, finding things in Paris far worse than he'd imagined. Before long, Adrian finds himself the vengeful demagogue of the Parisian resistance, a romanticized and somewhat ironic role that he has no trouble accepting. France was more or less ignored, rightfully deprioritized even, but Adrian will help to channel some Order members and resources into the fighting against Voldemort across the Channel. It was like Hitler. The first step was France. The next? Who knew? Although at first his father's death still weighs like an anchor, the subtle passion in doing their helps to bring Adrian and his charisma back to their full caliber, as his dad would very well have wanted. Even as things in Paris started to look bleak once again, came Harry Potter. The sudden downfall of Voldemort, and therefore his servants, home and abroad, meant that there was little left to fight. Certainly no more than all the Aurors could handle. Heading back to the UK for the parties, love, and all the action for the moment, he reconnects with his school friends, who convince him to go sign up with the team now this is all done. Feeling rather purposeless now, he obliges, arranging another open trial, which impresses his suitors. After much deliberation, Adrian decides that the Wrotza Vultures are the team for him, quality and prestige being key factors, as well, of course, as no small sum of gold. Signing a 3-year deal makes him wealthy in his own right, and he buys a small, or relatively small, abode in Monaco. And as the author and creator of Adriana Paolo Palermo says, more to come. We can only hope that the rest will be as absolutely riveting as the first. For now, I must bid you all adieu.